Hello and welcome to Talking Dogs on a Monday. It just so happens on this Monday, we have an awful lot to get through because over the weekend we had the Winter Racing Festival at Shelbourne Park. 26 of the most incredible races that you can ever imagine. We're not going to get through all 26, unfortunately, but we'll certainly touch upon a few of the races from Friday night and probably every race from Saturday night, be it short or long or whatnot. That'll very much depend on the two men I'm speaking to. I'm joined as always by the exiled Dub. He's back to being exiled. We got rid of him out of Dublin on Thursday. He watched the action from Shelbourne Park over the weekend from the comfort of his Youghal base, Tommy Lyons. And of course, we are joined by the oracle of all matters Shelbourne Park, Declan O'Donoughue, a man that was lucky enough to be on site on both nights. And I'm sure is feeling probably a bit tired for it, Declan. It was a long haul, wasn't it? 13 races. It's amazing how much that extra race, plus the fact that you're so engaged in it because of the quality of racing, takes out of you.
Yeah, I kind of worried actually with 13 races both night that we could be spreading the butter a bit thin, but that didn't seem to happen, The big thing on Saturday night I thought I don't know what it was, the buzz was back.
Yeah.
We've been through an awful year and a half, and of course there are far much worse things going on that was affecting greyhound racing. But for us, it has been a very tough year and a half. And you know what it's like. We're sitting in the stands almost on our own there during last year's Derby and right through, and so many things, And even this year's Derby, brilliant though it was, there was only, for reasons we still don't quite understand, 1,400 people allowed to attend.
Yeah.
So you could feel from, even though we obviously have to arrive very early, you could feel from early on Saturday in particular, the buzz was back. And that was a great feeling. Without even watching a race, that was an incredible feeling, See the smiles on people's faces, so many people there, old fans meeting up, even out in the car park and all. It was really, really good. It was special.
From the old point of view, like it was set up in 2012 as the Night of Stars. We had 8 years Night of Stars Winter Racing Festival. It was set up as an occasion. It was set up as a night of celebration, and that's exactly what it seemed to come about, Declan. That just from start to finish, it just seemed to mean so much to those connected. I spoke to Carl Ramsbottom after racing. He had two winners in the night. The first winner was every bit as important to him as the later winner, Deadly Destroyer. Karen Toole won the puppy race, which was only worth $17.50 compared to the 5,000 of Deadly Destroyer. But each and every race on the Saturday night meant something.
Absolutely, and great credit to your dad, God rest him, and he was very much around, I'm sure, this weekend. But the Night of Stars was an incredible concept. It's now at the end of the season. We simply have to have it. Whatever name you put on it, whatever concept, it is there. It's brilliant. Everyone looks forward to the trainers, everyone else. It wraps up. It kind of celebrates the season. It's a pity Sapphire Susie, she's in season, she couldn't be there. Excuse me. But so many others of the ones that lit up our season. And again, I have to say, in Saturday, the bitches were top class again. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, five bitch winners on Saturday night. Of course, there was two bitch races, so we'll give them the three winners outside of that. Tommy, Susie Sapphire may have been missing, but I don't think her absence was, it didn't leave a dampener on the night. We've seen Derby winners challenge on the night in the past, and she'll be back next year. We look forward to seeing her. But I think she had some able deputies. Of course, Sing Along Sally, who had finished second to her in the Derby, was in action, and I suppose that's where we'll get started into the racing action. We'll actually start on the Friday night, but just to say that Sing Along Sally was one of the very many stars on Saturday night.
Yeah, and all about Ted as well, another Derby finalist. The form was upheld. The form for the entire year was upheld on Saturday night, which is what you want to see. There was great depth in the race. Like Sing Along Sally did kind of set a tone. I know it was the second race, but she just kind of set a tone for the night because that was a special performance. I was surprised it was 28-20. I'll be quite honest about it, because she didn't exactly fly out, and she had to be patient and wait for the gap to come, and she was brave enough to go through it. And then when the time came up, I went, my God, this track isn't going to be slow tonight. If she's doing 28-20 with that, going against.
I'd say if you actually look back at the Kenyans did the marathon record this year under 2 hours, and they had all about the right pace setters. Well, she had Clona Sky setting a blistering gallop, who is absolutely on fire to the third bend. And then Sing Along Sally, once the gap opened up, you knew she was going to stay on the fence. She got the opportunity to take it. That's my reasoning for the 28-20. But listen, we'll get to Saturday night in a moment. We'll briefly touch upon Friday night. Declan, I'm going to start with you because the Dgoba Dublin Cup, it's been a welcome addition to the card in recent years. It was won only a couple of years ago, we must give him a mention, by Costa Plenty, who retired inside the last week. A great old stager for Jerry Amelia. And that's the type of dog that gets this opportunity where they might be 2 yards behind the very best greyhounds. They have their opportunity to win. €6,000 to the winner. And we have seen two wonderful semi-finals on Friday night. What I took out of it was we had four big names in the first heat. And I mean four that stood out above the other two. 3 of them went through. And in the second heat, the 3 big names that you would have chosen went through. We are set for a wonderful final. And they're all very much a similar profile, young, improving greyhounds that could take the step up to proper company next year.
Yeah, I must admit, when I saw Predator Scobie doing a sprint race, you saw him as well yourself just before it. And the minute I saw the entries, he absolutely jumped out. Although he'd only had 2 races, of course, inexperience does come into competitions, and you've got to factor that in. But he did stand out as potentially the best dog in it. He could still be, he's unbeaten still, but he's up against it on Saturday, certainly. Owen's other dog that's improving all the time, that won on Saturday. That's an interesting. I think that was Trap 4 next week. But anyway, they're all, the 6 finalists are all good. It's a great competition, great prize money. And 1 or 2 of them could end up at the top level. They could develop that far.
An A1, A2 competition. And each of the 6 runners more than capable of going to do like a 28-30 or 28-40 in the very near future.
Yeah, we actually mightn't get that in the final because they're so closely matched and boxed. There could be a bit of shoving and shunting there, so we probably won't get that kind of talk. But certainly 6 very good greyhounds and all on the improve, definitely, yes.
Yeah, Owen McKenna's too there, Florentis and Ballymore Border. You have the likes of Dramana Fury from your part of the world. Tommy is representing the O'Briens. Predator Scobie will be there. Hillview Queen. Actually, Owen has 3 finalists. Excuse me. Hillview Queen, Florentis and Ballymore Border. All July, or all 20 whelps. I'm sure these will be sort of the likes of Owen's Kirby team next year, and Droopy's Gifted, who ran so well earlier in the year in the Puppy Oaks. She's November 19, so she won't be Kirby around, but a cracking contest, Tommy. I suppose when you're down the country, you're in danger of sort of nearly ignoring what you'd say is the graded race per se, but it's an A1, A2 competition only by name. They're a really exciting bunch.
When you're getting $6,000 from the winner to the winner, it's worth taking note of. It's actually great. In fairness, I know you kind of stir a bit of a hornet's nest when you start talking about it, but it is great that it's an old legacy from Harold's Cross, that it's continued and it's continued to such a high level. $6,000 is serious prize money. It's getting the kind of entry that we know it deserves. In fairness, it was cracking races. I was very slightly disappointed with maybe a retweet. Showed a lot of pace. Maybe got slightly.
I think he found himself in the inside when he wanted to be on the out.
Maybe so,
checked up a stride and then find an awful lot home. That's probably just him starting. He'll get away with that.
Yeah, there's to come. I just thought maybe he might have been ready to do it. Was the track maybe slightly slower on
there were still big runs, 41-43 done in the 750, which we'll touch upon in a moment. Yeah, no, look, it's Predator Scobie. He's not at the moment. He's not a flashy dog. He's not winning by 10 lengths, or he's not going away, but he's still finding a way to win, and that's the type of dog you love, because you always think there's going to be more to come from that type of dog that's going to continue to improve, and just a good dog that finds a way to win. So he's an exciting prospect. But as Declan said, it's quite a tight final. You wouldn't want to call it. You wouldn't be calling. Well, I wouldn't be calling him with great confidence. Maybe you have a better idea than I do. Oh, no, I think that's one for later in the week. We have enough to be talking about this morning. Declan, on the undercard, we have to mention a few names. We'll race through these because we have an awful lot to cover on Saturday night. Race 5 on the card was, it wasn't one of the finals, Declan, but I think this was probably the most eye-catching dog of the Friday night's action. Ardira Fury, as he was known on Friday. Imagine this, on Saturday morning when you look at the results, he's known as Bacchus Vieira. So obviously he was in the ownership of Beth Lougheed and Graham Box prior to the race. I know as he crossed the line, I got 2 texts, one from Bev, one from Graham, and they were more delighted with him. He looks a proper greyhound. He has a little bit of age in the side in October 19, but just the way he did it, Declan, it was pretty eye-catching.
It was, and trainers are creatures of habit, as we know, and attention to detail, all that stuff, and Graham Holland is right up there. And Graham takes a measured approach. His dogs are perfect. They're ready. First round, they're flying. So it's very unusual for him to show a pup in on a big race on a Friday night like this in Shelbourne. It was quite incredible.
Do you know what it reminds me of?
It
reminds me of New Win Taylor. He did something similar. He threw him into race company and he produced a similar type display.
This dog could be as good, because look at what he's taking on here. Like Razzle Dazzle Peaky. I mean, you're talking about a seasoned, tough dog. I mean, and a classy dog. You've got him. You've Kilara, Odessa, Cost Queen, the Honky Tonk. Like, these are experienced, serious dogs. And for your first race, to give most of them a lead and then come around and beat them, first time out, it was some performance, certainly. I know, never got carried away on one race. We've all learned that down the years for sure in horses or dogs. But you'd have to say, yeah, he couldn't have started better, put it that way.
I got the impression the owners weren't surprised. To pick up a 2850 runner as quickly as he did was very impressive. Tommy, Skywalker Barry, we said he was the class act in the Resets Open final. He won as a class act should, overcame early bother. When the gap arrived at the corner, slipped through, went second, took it up to the third, and went on to win. No surprises there.
No, because he is a class act, and he was in Mini Open company. Like, he's a dog.
It's his last run of Mini Open. He comes for a while, let's say.
Yeah, but he is an open class dog, and he has proven that over the time. He was juvenile classic winner or juvenile derby winner last year. He was a star of the early rounds of the Laurel this year. Like, he was still holding his form at the top level. So he made the most of a good opportunity in that competition. In fairness,
Declan, the novice 750 final. I am, you know me. If there's 750 racing on, that'll always take the focus of my attention. It looked a cracking competition prior to the start of it. The three names that really stood out were the two brothers, Stories Pee-wee and Derby's Delight, and of course Ballymac Belvold. Ballymac Belvold, excuse me, had impressed in the semi-finals. On this occasion, it was Derby's Delight who made the most of a great draw, but he produced an unbelievable run. Declan got to the corner, looked like he was just going to sweep the corner, go on about it, got clipped from behind, back on his haunches, recovered so quickly, and to go on and win at 41-43 is the mark of a greyhound that could do very special things over this trip.
Absolutely, and as you say, in like margin racing is always very popular in Dublin, always has been. And the Harold's Cross.
Yeah, I was going to say, Tommy mentioned the Harold's Cross thing earlier on. Harold's Cross was the home of six-bend racing.
Absolutely, and it was a great performance. As you say, there was three class dogs, three potential improvers in behind him as well. When we saw it at first, but Derby's Delight, once he did, it really was over. He was just powerful. The others, Stories Pee-wee ran well, ran a good race in second, but was too far behind really once he got going. Ballymac Belvold, the jury is out. Sometimes second hour 750, they don't fancy it.
Yeah, he really did seem to struggle home. Anne's Coco caught the eye in third. I like this.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's a funny one. And then she was drawn in four. It's a short one to the first bend in the 750. We often are trying to forget that. And there's stuffing there. If you get knocked back there, the ones in front of you are seasoned stairs, good stairs anyway. So if you're 8 or 9 lengths behind them coming on the second bend, you even over 750, you've got some job to do, because they're not coming back to you. So the winner, highly impressive. Derby delighted for Conor pouring down the Tinsler, and of course for Neil O'Connor, who is such a great supporter of Shelbourne. So it's a lovely story, and he's only starting off in his Martin career, really.
Yeah, he is indeed.
I'm taking the Conquer Cullin next year, and just even imagine, suppose it was confined to 18 dogs now. Just suppose it was. I mean, you wouldn't have enough. I mean, it's just outstanding.
There's a lot of the dogs that ran on Saturday night that could be stepped up as well. Do you know what I mean?
Of course,
even the likes of an All for the Best or something that could be a star over 6 pounds. Yeah. No, I hear you, Tommy. Derby's Delight, very impressive.
Well, he improved 3 lengths on his sectional, right? His first sectional, and yes, he got tipped from behind. I mean that's the type of thing you like to see. That sort of improvement, that sort of step forward on after winning the previous week. I thought there was if you're doing 41-43 with things going wrong, I know he did. You can say he did, but for things still to go wrong, how far would he have been clear had they not? Like, it was a serious performance.
What impressed me most was the fact that he increased his lead considerably from the 5th bend to the line. He was absolutely. This was a pure, like, sometimes you see these 4-bend dogs and they're rolling home like a Price's Jet was in the Corncock Cullen. Now, don't get me wrong, he was a brilliant winner of the Corncock Cullen, but you would have said he was a 700-yard dog, maybe 675-yard dog. This dog looked every inch a 750-yard dog. He got right to the line.
Oh, he definitely did. I mean, he was powerful, I would say. I mean, you're saying Anne's Coco kind of caught the eye in third place, ran well, but like the winner was in a different league to all of them. To absolutely all of them. It was a serious performance for a novice 750. I think he's, as Declan said, you might as well start thinking about the big competitions next year, because if he's not involved in them, I'd be amazed. There's a long time between now and then, but like, he's a serious player in the making.
Yeah. The next race on the card was the Old Stagers 525. This sort of disheartened me a little bit, Declan, for a reason. Like, if they start calling 3.5-year-olds Old Stagers, when myself and Tommy are probably topping on Old Stagers as well, it was what I'd call a half veterans race, because there was 3 or 4 veterans in it, and it was, surprise, the youngest dog in the race at 3.5 years of age, Jazz Toes, who looked absolutely sprightly as hell, away and gone. A very impressive display. Not the first time we've seen a Peter Cronin trained greyhound away and gone.
Yeah, I would say he's and Peter's dog is running brilliant at the moment, but I would say he's the only 5-5 dog in it, to my mind. Sweep the Arc definitely wants longer. Razzle and Monarch, Boys for Sports Bingo. It's far too short for him. And show business actually, I think would be interesting stepping up. I look forward to show business to stay over 575 because he can come home well. He did break the previous week very well. But generally, he's a bit slow away now on 525. Yeah. But certainly, look, Jazz Souls was away and gone. Very impressive. Very impressive, yeah.
We'll touch upon the last couple of races. Ballinabullah Bolt, a very strong winner of the 600. Hello, Hammond and Eyecatcher in second spot. Ballymac Cooper ran well again in defeat, but Ballinabullah Bolt, a real nice dog for Brendan Murphy. He's in October 18, but he's won 14 times now in his career from 40 starts, and he could have some sport with him over the next year again. On to the 12th race on the card, and this saw Croker Spirit returning to some form. Declan, Tommy, he's a very talented greyhound. When he gets it right, I think he could have a big year next year, Declan.
Croker Spirit.
Yeah.
Has to lead. One of those has to lead. But it was a great. I mean, he led playing Pat on his inside, so it was no gimme, But he did. It was a fantastic clock, a good run. It really was over from early, Now there was a bit of crowding behind, but he's already so far in front that had no effect. Very impressive, certainly. Yeah.
And Tommy, Sentimental Lad wins the finale. You've heard me talking about him before. Had been a little bit disappointed in one or two starts at Shelbourne recently, and just not quite driving his bend the other night. Fast away, led all, and an impressive winner.
Yeah, 29.56 but there were some terrific times. I think, maybe more so Saturday night, but I think we probably all have our own favourite performance, but that mightn't even tally with what the clock said, because there were some serious performances right throughout the weekend. So yeah, look at you. As I said, I hear you talking about in Sentimental Lad quite a bit. Running well down in Limerick, you were fancying us early on. I think in the rounds of the Leisure was alright.
He went out the week after I highlighted him.
Yeah, but he has
he has an engine. There's no question about that.
That's exactly it, and that's all. A lot of the time, that's when you're trying to find a result in a race and you're trying to get away from the obvious. You're looking for the engine and hoping that someday it'll click right. That they'll do things right. He very much did it right. The section one wasn't huge, 346, but at the same time he was able to lead, and it was a nice performance.
Declan, just before we leave the Friday night action, I'll just talk about the Friday night in general as part of the festival. It's a welcome addition. It gives that chance for the other dogs to have that chance. 13 races on a Saturday is probably not enough. So to have the other 13 races on the Friday, a few stakes there, it just keeps the interest up for those few weeks prior to the competition. And then on the Friday night, it really did whet the appetite for the main course the following night.
Very much. Yeah, it's a welcome addition, and excuse me, a lot of dogs that are running every weekend during the year, they're entitled to run on one of those big nights, and they get the opportunity, and it's good prize money as well. So yes, it's good all around, certainly.
It sure is. I'll tell you what, on Saturday night, we'll start with the championship races, the 9 championship races, and then we'll get back to the other 4 races. We're going to have to be, obviously relatively stealthy through this because there's so much to get through. I found myself by the 10th race sort of nearly on my knees going, wow, there's still 3 races to go here. It was just, we're invested in the racing so much, and each race meant so much, whereas there's no real focal point. Each and every race is a focal point, depending on your obviously I had great interest in the 750 and the marathon and the 600. I love the strong running greyhounds, but other people are into the early speed and the bitches and the 525 type dogs. There's just so much to get your head around. Firstly, the bitch 525. We've spoken about these bitches for so long ad nauseum at this stage, Tommy, but just another fantastic bitch race. Didn't happen for Billy's Diva. She completely missed the kick. She ran into all sorts of traffic herself and Ballymac Art, playing bumper cars on the opening bend, and I think she ran into further bother down at the third bend. But Clona Sky, again, showing her devastating early speed. If she stayed at just that little bit stronger, she could have been an absolute superstar. As it is, she's still a star. She set a sizzling gallop, but Sing-Along Sally was ultimately too close. And just going to show that, what a year she's had. She's won the Juvenile Classic. She was a finalist in the Kirby. She's runner-up in the Derby. And she is after winning now at the Winter Racing Festival. And then I'm not putting the cards out there, but she's not going to win Bitch of the Year. You know what I mean? It's unfortunate. It's unfortunate, but in any other year, she wouldn't just be Bitch of the Year. She'd be right up there vying for Performer of the Year overall.
She's held her perform brilliantly well. She there was a little bit of a lull. Just say she started the Leisure quite well. She's been able to. I think she's a bitch that responds well to training. In fairness to her, like she
You said that. You said that in the preview, that she seems to be a bitch where Pat Buckley can nearly train her to the minute.
Yeah, exactly. And I think this was another case of being trained to the minute again. Do you know what? It's difficult. It's difficult to keep them running insanely well week in, week out. So when you have a lot of competitions in a row, it can take a little bit of a toll. You know, at times there's nothing you can do about that. That's just they're animals at the end of the day. They're not robots. So Singing Along Sally I think she was primed for this, and beautifully done. And as you said, it was a great makeup of a race in the sense that Clona Sky doesn't quite get home. Is a brilliant bitch, tremendous early pace. I think Barry Call was fancying her. I was probably a shade unlucky, because she was a decent price, around about 11-2, 6-1. She showed terrific early pace. Sing Along Sally, she had to be sharp to be able to tuck in behind her and kind of be in a position to take over along the inside. She tracked well. She did everything right. Billy's Diva, it just didn't happen. I don't think it was the draw. I think it just didn't happen on the night. I think they just forget about the run, to be quite honest about it. But Sing Along Sally, what a bitch she's been for the entire year.
Declan, she made her racing debut on February 19th. It seems like she's been around for 3 years. She made her debut on February 19th. She had done a 28:44 trial at Shelbourne Park in November. So just over a year ago. I remember asking Pat, what about this one? He says, we weren't expecting that. You knew then that she's a special one. And look at her record since. She has danced every dance, as we always say. She's been right up there. Derby runner-up, Juvenile Classic winner, Kirby finalist, and now with the Racing Festival. She's very, very special.
She is, yeah, she is, and she had her draw. Clona Sky is top class. She's top class 5-5 as well. She had a sprint trial before. If Singing Along Sally wasn't in the race, she would have won it quite easy. So Clona Sky is fine over 5-2-5. Billy's Diva was her first run since the English Oaks final. That probably was a big ask, really, at this level to come in.
Different traps, different mechanism, the whole lot.
Probably wasn't drawn. Yeah, she wouldn't be happy with the draw, but take nothing from the winner. She's superb, as you say, all season long, and against the dogs too. She has been outstanding.
It's testament to Pat Buckley's skill as a greyhound man. To keep her like that. We've spoken of Jennifer O'Donnell, Scooby Princess, but this is every bit as impressive.
Well, she was running up in the Derby and run up to an exceptional Derby winner. That's she is very, very good, absolutely, and she's doing it all season long, as you say.
We'll move on to the 750. This was, from the outset, it was a race that was really sort of difficult to fancy. One, because there were so many possible outcomes. We were expecting the pace to come from the bookends, Ballymac Kingdom or Price's Jet, but it was a bitch that really caught the eye one night at Shelbourne Park. Declan, I remember her first 5.75 run at Shelbourne Park. She looked an absolute stunner. I actually recommended her to a couple of men to make an inquiry. Didn't happen. She stayed with Brian Larkin, and as a result, she's turned into a really top-class stayer. This was a hell of a run. 41.25 off the front, Declan. 41.25. I remember when 42 seconds were broken for the first time, and here we are, 3/4 of a second faster. It was a sensational run.
Well, I seem to be the only person that actually fancied her in the race, big time. She had very good recent form over track and trip. Did a brilliant 5-2-5 trial a week before. She was still relatively fresh. Some of the other ones were coming straight up from running in the Ledger. I thought she'd everything. And actually, when she was 10-1, I said, I'm doing something wrong here. She was 16-1 on the exchanges. And I just couldn't get it. I mean, to me, she was certainly one of the best of the night. Now, Bacchus Brandy was on the way back. She was only her second race back, perhaps, something like that. Like there was question marks about so many others. But she was coming in fresh, proven, on top of her game. And I thought she had a hell of a chance. Obviously, there was a chance Ballymac Kingdom could lead her out on her inside. But other than that, I just can't understand why she was such an outsider.
As a backer, Declan, you were happy from early because it was the right dogs in behind her. Whereas Ballymac Kingdom, we know he gets the trip, but he's not what you'd say. He's not going to power past her in the second half of the race or anything like that. He'll just keep going, and she gets the line.
Yeah. No, she is very good. And we're talking about the Crunker Cullen early on. I mean, when does it start? I mean, there's just so many absolutely sensational six-bend runners around now, and we saw two more emerge at the weekend. Superb.
Yeah. Tommy, Generous Angel, we were in Cork on Laurel's final night. We were standing in the weigh room or in the parade area watching her run in a novice 750. She was beaten I was flabbergasted she was beaten. I remember the night.
Yeah.
I think we both sort of suggested the jacket or something was loosening her that night. Seemed to be flapping around. She went out to win in 41.39 the following week. So, we had a bit of prior with this lady.
Yeah, that's kind of when she was alerted to me, was when you talked about her below at the Laurels that night. Look, Declan's right. Like if you could potentially have fancied her, maybe she was taking on some serious greyhounds the other night, but she had that bit of potential. She had done a fast time. She had potential for more. I thought it was a terrific performance, because the beauty of it was there was absolutely no fluke about it. It was just almost perfect performance. Trap to line, just get out, show a bit of early pace that you have, and just dominate. It was you Ballymac Kingdom in the race. You had Buckle Brandy, who a bit of lucky maybe not to get closer to the second, maybe rather than having any effect on what the result of the race, the winning of the race, because Price Jeff missed it completely. Showed a bit of pace up into the second bend, bumped Buckle's Brandy there. Buckle's Brandy, I thought, was just getting ready to begin a run at leaving the fourth bend, and seemed to get clipped and just held her up, and then she stayed on again nicely. But it wouldn't have made any difference to the result. That was just a really, really nice performance. It was clinical, and the beauty is that there's clearly plenty more to come.
Yeah, just to mention, Ballymac Kingdom was having his first run since August. A fine run by him, comeback run. Great to see him back in the track. Back goes Brandy, as you said, a very encouraging first run over 6 bends. She hasn't run over 6 bends since the Corn Cullen. And in behind him, just want to give mention to Slaker's Pippi. Didn't happen for on the night, Declan, but isn't it great to see an English runner coming over? She got clipped coming into the home straight, sort of got run over a little bit by the real 4-bend pacers, and then just things didn't go right, and you can completely forgive her for finishing last.
Absolutely, she ran very well, and she was a dangerous little leader for quite a while. As you say, she just ran out of steam towards the end, and the winner was doing an exceptional clock. So I mean, if you're not going to be on 41.25 winners too often, But it's lovely to see a UK runner over, and let's hope we have many more in future. I'd say the RPG TV will have that, because that was outstanding viewing on Saturday night, and it'll promote the game here and those nights there. And I think they got a flavour of the atmosphere, as well, because we've all forgotten on both sides of the Irish Sea through COVID what it means having a huge crowd present. It just gives the whole thing a different flavour, a different feeling, and it really is a big occasion. It's a big deal. Big lift.
I had Racing Post TV on above my head in the commentary box, and the comments coming in, it was so widely well recognised or received, and people just seem to be delighted to see great racing from Shelbourne Park on the station. So hopefully we'll see more of it in the future. It's greyhoundtrader.com open 575. I went 7-2 all about Ted in the race card. I'm putting that down to the fact that I was doing it after 2 o'clock in the morning, and the dog hadn't run in quite some time. Needless to say, I wasn't thinking, it's a winter race festival, Peter Cronin, haven't completely tuned in. I sort of ignored that. He went off 13-8. It wasn't a bad price in the end, but this was a hell of a race. Jacob Tashlek really pushed him to the pin of his collar into that third bend, went the wrong side. He was never going to pick up the leader anyway. All about Ted, though, Tommy. Very impressive winner. The long run to the corner, he really did relish it.
Now, you were calling the winner from the third bend, saying he'll go on again from here. I think that's what you said in commentary. He did. It was a smashing effort. Lovely bit of early pace. Jacob Tash, if anything, to me, he enhanced his reputation a little bit. I thought he really pushed him hard down the back. As you said, He showed proper top class pace down the back straight. Big time. To me, anyway, he enhanced his reputation because he really pushed the winner hard, and the winner is a Derby finalist with real class, who had been trained extremely well for this race. Almost pitch perfect for. And all about Ted did almost everything right, and a 30.91 clock. There's absolutely nothing not to like about the performances of the first two. Swords Maestro had been in great form. Just maybe this was a touch more difficult than what he'd been doing in the previous weeks. I thought he ran a hell of a race in the feet, Swords Maestro. Yeah. No, not taking away from me. Ran a superb race. Crafty Kokoro.
We're all racing to talk about Crafty Kokoro here.
Well, I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say about Reem, because God, she got it was a mirror image of the previous week, in the sense that what she's doing up the straight, really absolutely, grabbing at the ground and trying to fly up the straight. But I don't know what race she'll ever be able to position herself well enough to go and win it. Do you know what I mean?
It was only her sixth start, you know what I mean? And you put her back to a 5.25 run up, and just to improve her starting a bit. Trust me, she'll win plenty. And it wouldn't be no surprise to me if she was in Trap 1 in an Oaks final in a few months' time.
Look. In some ways, there's a touch of the Skywalker still is about, or maybe without that bit of early pace. Skywalker still I wouldn't have done as a specialist early pacer. This lady probably has to develop a little bit early, but she's a talent, isn't she?
She is an unbelievable talent. I actually thought the first 5 home ran very well. Auxerre never really got into it. Once he's led like that, he does tend to stay that bit wide and sort of throws his race away a bit. He needs to dominate. But I thought Epic Hero was even there pitching on the opening corner, got a bit of a bump. He was back in 5th, but I thought it was an okay run by him. But Declan, the first 4 just did so much, but All About Ted, so impressive. I know we're talking about Crafty Kokoro, but I thought Jacob Tashlek at Storage Maestro also ran fine races.
Yeah, it's interesting point you're making. Epic Hero doesn't win at Shelbourne. That's we've tried it every trip. It just doesn't happen for whatever reason. Swords Maestro only went to Shelbourne equally, which is interesting. And I think it was his first time 5.75 Swords Maestro, so that was a good effort.
It's before we go on, it's an absolutely criminally underused distance for open class greyhounds.
It is, yeah, but you can't blame trainers for that. I mean, if the competition isn't on, they can't put them into it. Yeah, we should have more 5.75 open competitions, absolutely. Crafty Kokoro, I would disagree with you putting her back to 5.25. To me, she is like Liam O'Rourke's winner, the name escapes you now, on Friday night, that won that final on Friday night.
Brunel Bruiser.
Brunel also comes through on the inside late. I'd put them around 6 bends as soon as possible. I mean,
Brunel Bruiser is a half brother to Beach Avenue, actually.
Well, there you go. Yeah. Now, I thought Beach Avenue ran a funny race. Haven't been his greatest fan in recent weeks. I thought he ran a funny race now on Saturday. But I would put that Crafty Kokoro. I think she wants a trip. To be honest with you, even now put her on.
I'm of the opinion she needs 5.25 or a trip. I think the likes of the 5.75, 600 actually won't suit her because she finds herself that bit far behind, or further behind, shall we say. And that's often the case with stayers. They run better at 5.25 than they would do at 5.75.
Listen, we had this debate over Paul Hennessy's one. Remember, she's recently retired.
Battle cry.
And she never tried 5.75.
Yeah.
So how do we know?
I know,
she went from 5.25 to 7.50 and back.
Because Paul knows that I'm right. That's why.
That long one to the first bend, Anyway, there we go. And the second dog, you're quite right, Jacob. I'd say all 6. Auxerre is a brilliant dog. But Auxerre prefers the 600, like the all for the best. There's a difference between 600 and 5.75, and they're 600-yard dogs, definitely. They're that bit better at it.
I think Auxerre prefers to take on 600-yard dogs because he can get to the front, whereas in this contest, he couldn't get to the front. That's where he needs to be. I know, but I think he particularly needs to be in front, We'll move on because... Go ahead.
And if he gets around the second bend in front, you're not going to catch him. Yeah, equally,
Yeah, I know he stays right to line, no question about that. As do the whole litter. All About Ted, a fantastic winner. Well done to Peter Cronin, Willie Rigney, and Richard Brown. On to the 4th race. This was the 8 years of the Night of Stars Open 5.25, and it was just a pitch perfect display by Droopy's good Tommy. He was aided greatly by the fact that Cumleo didn't hit the lids like he can. And once he got to the front, he never looked like being beaten, although Ballymac Fairone, who I'm not sure did he sell yesterday or not? I haven't checked up yet, but he was for sale over the weekend, strangely enough. Like, as he's running in this race, there was an online auction going on for him, Ballymac Fairone, but it was Droopy's good. Paul Carpenter has had a very tough couple of weeks, but one of the great enthusiasts of the sport, and another winner for Bev Lockheed, joint owner. But Droopy's good. We know what he's about. He's all about early speed. He got to the front, kept rolling to the line, held on Ballymac Fairone, who ran a big race in second spot.
Yeah, perfect summary, because Droopy's good was obviously aided by Cumleo not competing early. Gave him an opportunity. He's a Laurel's finalist again, classic form coming to the fore. Ballymac Fairone, just as somebody sent me a screenshot of that yesterday morning, very early yesterday morning, and it was up to 15,525.
Oh, it was gone past 20,000 when I saw it yesterday afternoon. Yeah,
I'm saying that was first thing in the morning. Like, Ballymac Fairone is a dog that will always catch your eye forever, no matter what he runs in or what sort of races. He's a dog that has got immense ability. It was actually a huge run now, to be fair to the dog. It was a huge run. But like you, I never once thought during the race, because I had tipped Ballymac Fairone, I never thought once during the race that he was going to get there.
Yeah, that's fair. Declan, what were your thoughts on the race?
I think the winner is a very professional dog. did everything right. All McKenna's dogs are absolutely flying at the moment. He's had a tremendous year, and he's a hell of a team building up for next year. And this one will be right up there. He's a very consistent dog. You can run him in every competition. He'll run his race for you all the time. And like so many of them, once he's in front, he's quite hard to reel in. You know, it was a good performance. Second ran a great race as well. You know, from an unlikely position. Monrad Thunder went up well in second. It didn't happen from there on in. One time only. He was a bit quick after his recent great things. Yeah. So I don't know. The winner was very good. Once he led, he's very professional, very good tracker. You know, and you know it's very hard. People see dogs doing 28.45. And they say, oh, the second should have won, the third would have won. Hold on a minute. You know, that means he's got to come past the 28.45 winner and beat him, you know, and that ain't easy.
He's after coming from fifth into the back straight. Like, he showed unbelievable pace to pass the
likes. You
one time only.
I was amazed he was for sale, to be honest with you. But there you go. Every dog has a price, and it looks like they're getting a good one. You know.
Yeah, it sure does. Droopy's good. They'll have some sport with him next year, Tommy. He's just one of those dogs where you can turn up at all the top 5-5 yard competitions and have a go. And you know, where he doesn't get the 550 yards, bar he's on the bunny and gets a clear run at, you can still have a crack at the Derby next year. You never know, may strengthen up a little bit over the winter.
Yeah, look, he doesn't lead off enough for my liking, in the sense that he needs to do so, and he tends to. Oftentimes you find one that's just a little bit too sharp for him. I'm not amazed at all about my fair ones for sale. If I was getting 20 grand, it'd be thank you very much and very best of luck.
I don't know if he sold. I can't find it on Twitter.
I don't know. I don't
so he was over 20,000 last time I checked. Declan, we'll move on to the marathon, 1,025 yards. We don't see too many of them. But when we do, they're generally good. They're generally exciting. We were expecting Dana Point to win by a country mile. In the end, she was a full second behind her best time over the trip. She did meet a little bit of bother. She probably looked a little bit rusty. She's had relatively little racing, of course. Last time we saw her was October 9th when she broke the record over 850 yards. It's hard to just come out of a sort of a nearly 2-month hiatus and just perform over 1,025 yards. But she got there. But she made short odds backer sweat a little bit.
She did, and we saw with a few other runners on the night that you know, if you're not match fit, you know, you can do great. You're in great form at home when you're doing brilliant solo trials, but you got to get into a 6-dog race. It's a different situation. I thought the second ran a great race. Redzer, Pat Redden always seems to have these outstanding marathon runners. You know, always, you can guarantee he has them. And
her sister's the top stayer across in the UK
absolutely.
as well. So it's in the family.
Yeah, and she, on another night she could have won. But listen, winners are winners. You know, Dana Point won. That's what it's about. Another big prize, another big night, and she did it. You know,
I hope this race wasn't countering, you know, won't work against the open marathon coming up. You know, often you see dogs withdrawn from the first round to the second round in the marathon, you know, whether they'll be afraid to take her on or not. You can't be afraid to take on one dog, Declan.
Well, not taken away from, she won, and that's the name of the game. You know, she collected the winner's check, but she didn't look unbeatable, that's for sure.
Tommy, anything to add?
Yeah, the only thing I would say, I know what were you saying about being cherry ripe and all that, right? But if I have a bitch like Dana Point, right, who I think is probably a stone cold certainty for this race on Night of Stars, where do I run her? Like, there aren't that many races you can run to get her ready for this. And if you like, do you really want to drop back to 525, 550, 575 in fear of getting into a bit of trouble or anything that might cause her to miss this race? You're kind of caught between a rock and a hard place here, deciding whether to get her into competitive races or try to get her fit from galloping or from trialing or whatever. And yes, she wasn't at her best, clearly. But as Declan said, the winners are winners. They tend to find a way. So I would just think that the connections probably were thinking about it over the last few weeks, going, what are we going to do here? Maybe the best thing to do is just to try to keep her fresh and away from any competition that might cause a little bit of trouble, because we've got a bitch that might be 5s on in a 5,000 to the winner race. You know, it's a tricky one. It's a tricky one. You got to find that balance. So I think nice that she got it done, to be honest about it. And Reza Reguera did run a cracking race. The rest of them weren't really competitive, let's be fair.
Let's just be hoping now when she does challenge for the TV Trophy in England next year, that they'll be remembering back at this race and going, well, she struggled. We'll put up 16 to 1 about her, and we'll all be the fastest finger first. Moving on, the RPGTV Open Bitch 550. This was again just Ballymac Aerial. probably not match fit, not match sharp, but I'll tell you one thing, she can run. She is something special. She came away racing. I thought Burgess Cassie probably just hit the ground ahead of her, but just Ballymac Ariel just raced away into the opening corner. She's a absolutely specialist 550-yard bitch at Shelbourne Park, Declan. When she's right and when she's on her game, there's very, very few that can match her.
She is. She's brilliant, and she's one of the best bitches ever to go around Shelbourne. And I mean, that's saying something after the years that we've had. She is.
Yeah.
The problem, as you know, in a derby, obviously, is it's 5 or 6 rounds. You know what I mean? And if you miss the break one night, that can be where that applies to all of course competitors in a derby. But she's brilliant. She's so consistent. She runs the track so well. Remember, as a puppy, you were getting overexcited about her as a puppy.
I know. Well, what can I do, Declan? What can I do?
And she has just, if on her Shelbourne form, she certainly has stood up. And she's in a year where there are exceptional bitches around. There's exceptional greyhounds around. She mightn't have won as many big prizes, but she won a big one here, and well deserved. Absolutely top class.
Yeah, it really was. Tommy, it was a professional display. She came back to them a little bit. That's to be expected. She probably did need a run or two, but just it was pretty much flawless, really, apart from sort of tying up a little bit.
She broke for 28 seconds in trials, in races, 29.07 for 550. She's just absolutely class, and she won't be bitch of the year, which is almost remarkable. She's just class. She came back a little bit. I forgive her entirely. Thought Tip Top Taylor ran a super race. Bacchus Dia ran a huge race, but they were probably. Saying they're slightly flattered is a bit unfair because they're being compared to one, as Declan said, one of the best bitches ever to run around Shelbourne.
No, they're listen, Tommy, they're both top class bitches, but they're just taking on a nearly a once in a generation talent, and that's something that's saying something. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like I gave her the headline this morning in the paper, and as much for her overall package as the performance on Saturday night, because she just did. It was good to be able to do it in that company, because we talked at length about the quality of the bitches, and to do it in that company on a comeback run was huge. But she's a joy to watch over that. It's amazing that, and a shame that she wasn't in the Derby final. We could have had the 1, 2, 3 with the bitches. What a race it would have been with Susie Sapphire flying out, seeing along Sally there as well with Ballymac Ariel in behind. Wouldn't that have been some race? Yeah. It wasn't bad as it was in.
No, and it would have been fitting for the couple of years we've had with these bitches, Declan. Yeah. Bacchus Leah is one for the future. Tip Top Taylor will continue to run a top company. She just starts, she stays, she just does it all. It didn't happen for Droopy's Gloss. She missed the kick, unusually for her. It's actually second run in a row she missed it. She was making up ground at the bend, but then got done. She never really got a chance to get involved, but she's one for next year, no question about it. But I thought Bacchus Leah was the one I'm going to take out of the race, Declan.
Right, yeah. She ran it extremely well. Droopy's Gloss isn't a great breaker. Generally, I mean, on a big night she did, but she's not generally a great breaker. So that's the problem. She's a top class greyhound, and she's still learning the game. She's in against some. If you don't lead in those kind of races, no matter how good you are, you're in trouble. Yeah, certainly.
Especially if you're taking on Ballymac Ariel.
Ballymac Ariel, and listen, and you're also behind Tip Top Taylor, who's open class 575. She's not going to come back to you. You know what I mean?
She's not. No.
So it's a big ask.
I never spotted there until now. Ballymac Ariel was £73 the other night. She's as big as some of the best dogs around.
She is, absolutely, yeah. It doesn't do any harm at all, yeah.
She's just an athlete. Moving on to the 8th race on the card, the Townview Kennels Open 600. This was the race I was expected to throw up the race of the night. As it happens, it turned into a cracking contest, but it was a strange sort of affair. Russian Glory dived inwards at boxes, and while he did sort of give Pirno a bump, Pirno led into the bend, he eased up. Then Russian Glory was coming up between runners. He did Beach Avenue all for the best, was nearly left in front for a stride, got done. Fast Fit Paddy slipped through in the fence, went to the front. Ballymac Wild slipped in behind him, and all for the best third. And ultimately, that was too close for the leaders. All for the best is just an absolute powerhouse. We've known that. I was speaking to the connections of Fast Fit Paddy after racing. And for them to look at the third bend and go, God, we have a chance of winning this, and realize that's all for the best coming down on their backside. They said he was in front of the 575 line. He wasn't. All for the best was in front at that point and continued to lead into the second winning line. Just a power-packed display from a greyhound that just has an unbelievable engine. A lot going on in this race, Declan. How did you see it?
The winner came through again outside on the outside, which may have been the reason Beach Avenue had to move in. It may have been. Beach Avenue broke better than she ever broke at Shelbourne, and didn't track very cleverly. It has to be said. In recent weeks, she stayed out and just ran the outside, and she did as she pleased. This time she kept trying to move in, or he kept trying to move in, and it wasn't working. But the winner is a superb dog, very consistent. Everyone in Shelbourne was rooting for him in the St. Ledger, you know what I mean? And he came back to run a race like that. Loved the 600. Possibly was just in front of the 575, but is very effective over 600. Fastest Paddy ran a blinder. Russian Glory was just back from a Ledger final. It's a big ass come back, and
straight in, Declan. Were you expecting him to go straight in as quickly as he did?
No, I wasn't, but he does run Shelbourne well now. Russian Glory has been good in Shelbourne before, you know, so I wouldn't worry about him at all. Pierno didn't have Ballymac Wild. We know how good they are. You know, it's at that level, at this level. You know, 6 dogs aren't all going to get a go at it. It just isn't going to happen. Great run by the winner, superb run by the runner-up, and another night would have won definitely. You know, and they're 6 very very good greyhounds.
Tommy.
I'm a slightly different opinion. I think the winner was the best dog by an absolute street. He got his legs taken from behind at the second bend, and how he recovered so quickly. And to this is like I watched Ballymac Fairway thinking that he was never going to get there against Ruby's Good. I was watching this race thinking this is a certainty all the way down the back. This is just looking like it's as Declan said. This is an absolute. This is the archetypal 600-yard dog. This is his trip. You'll go a long way to find a better dog over the trip than him, because he does everything, to my mind, does it right. We raved about him during the Ledger, even though he didn't win and we didn't think he was going to win the final of it. He still ran a superb race. He improved through that competition. It was only before that he'd put up a huge effort in Shelbourne over 600 yards. And I think this is probably arguably the best performance of the night, in my opinion. I think he was far more superior than the clock would tell you and than the distances would tell you.
Yeah, even then the clock was pretty good. Like, and lost ground, as you said, got the legs clipped from. Like he's going around in front only for the clip. And if he'd gone around in front, what would he have done? But as you said, he's just so immensely powerful. Liam Dowling bred, of course, but trained now by John Codd for the HDJ Syndicate. I think if you look up the address, Tommy, it's Bree in County Wexford. So maybe the old fellow was that's where my father hailed from. Maybe he was looking down, going, I think Wexford deserve one on the night.
I think it would have been his nap of the night, whether he was judging on form or what. Regardless, it would have been his nap of the night. But I think he's a big 82-pound dog, and he's a joy to watch striding out. He's every bit of a power packed dog, and he really is. And as I said to you, I just felt watching the race the whole way, and I had no bet in the race. I did fancy him strong. He didn't have a bet in the race. I just thought all the way down the back, this lad is going to win. He's really added tonight, like him, but he has been for ages. So I mean, this is a nice, you know, after running so well without being competitive in the final of the Ledger, this is a nice little bonus to pick up $5,000 for winning the 600.
Yeah, Fastfit Paddy was second. Did run a fine race. He's just one of those greyhounds. He never runs a bad race. Ballymac Wild was there for much of the way, but he was run out of it for third by Beach Avenue, who just didn't quite find the pockets. I know, Declan, you were a little bit disappointed. It just seems to be his way. He's better when he's on the outside and getting around them, but he did inexplicably go in at one point to try and find the gap, didn't find it, and then it took him a while to get going again, but he finishes right on their heels again. Like, he's beaten a length and a half and a neck in a race that things didn't really go right for him, but it was just a wonderful race. Again, 600-yard trip. Oh, there's nothing better, Declan. There's just nothing better than 600 yards.
Yeah, and in fairness to Beach Avenue, he was almost put over the wall at the first bend, you know. So let's bring that into our calculation. Yeah. But I absolutely agree with Tommy. The best dog won on the night. I was delighted he got to a Ledger final. I couldn't see it over 550 in Limerick. I was delighted for them because he is a great dog, big dog, and 600 is his game. But he could have won a lot easier on the night had things gone his way as well. You know, so it's funny thing, they all met some kind of a shuffle along the way. If you look at it, you know, Beach Avenue cut inside going into the corner, which might have helped Russian Dory either. So, you know, it was one of those races, but the winner, the best dog, won it on the night, no question.
If there was run again next week, you'd probably go for the winner again.
You would. If he's drawn the same place, certainly.
Yeah.
We'll move on to the sprint, gentlemen, because on Thursday night, Tommy, we did our preview. We rocked down after a bit of a meal, and who was there? Only the bell Skippy Gilbert. And he said to me, he says, I believe I shouldn't even turn up on Saturday night. Now, we never said anything of the sort, but we did say he needed to be doing everything right. by God, he did everything right. Skippy told us this was his fastest sprinter as he ever put a lead on. And I turned around and said, there's no way he's as good as Walsh's Hill. There's no way he's as good as Aho Tony. And then he said, what about Miss Lee? I said, well, I'm not sure he's as good as her. Guess what? He might just be as good as all three of them. This was a very, very impressive display. He came away racing, but so too the two amigos, and Corbrack Prince within 5 strides was alongside them. 3 unbelievable sprinters going hammer and tongs into the corner, and off the pitch, outpaced them, got his half length, and then drove the bend like a greyhound that wanted to win. This was a very, very impressive display, Declan.
It was. And first of all, can I say, like all regulars, we're absolutely thrilled for Mary and Skippy to have winners both nights. It's just incredible.
Not to mention Pat Flanagan, the bell, Pat Flanagan,
and everyone involved, yeah. And Stuart Kenny as well.
Stuart doesn't need the money, but you know.
Stuart has been a great doggy supporter down the years too. Absolutely, you know. But listen, it's just brilliant. I was delighted. I was cheering them on, but I didn't see it coming. I really didn't, because my head is still a 525 dog.
I'm glad we're not together, Tommy. We're not on our own in this one.
And that was a winnable for him, because once he got in front and he drove the bend, he absolutely drove the first bend. You know, Two Amigos was beautifully positioned. I think Two Amigos might even brush aside, but that's the other dog, you know, off the pitch wanted it and went for it and got it, you know, and he wasn't going to be passed. Second dog ran a cracker too, Corbrack Prince. He's very versatile over 525 and sprints. You can keep switching him every week. It's not a bother to him. So yeah, brilliant win, brilliant dog. Bannakill Jet, for some reason, not happening for him in sprints in Shelbourne. It just didn't happen in sprints in Shelbourne.
He's just leaving himself that little bit much to do with traps. He's arriving into the corner, and when he's finding bother, he's just ducking out a bit, just checking wide, finding a bit of traffic for himself.
It might be worth setting him back up and trip again. You know, he has some pace. He has pace. You know what I mean? And he comes. You know, we were thinking about.
Yeah, Tommy, just looking at off the pitch and you look at his profile, I know he had a couple of sprints around Dundalk, but it's the one discipline where you do need a few runs around it. You'll never see a dog, or if you do, they're special. You never see a dog having his first sprint after number 525s and just going bang and showing that exceptional speed. It's something that they need to adapt to. He's adapted to it, and I think he's right up there with the best sprinters in the country.
Yeah, but when he got knocked out of the Sprint Cup in July, it was only his 5th ever race. Like he finished last behind Corbrack Prince. El Supremo, I think, was 3rd in the race. But the telling thing was, you know, so it was Skippy was sowing it into us early.
Skippy's never afraid to sow it in, right? Let's just put that out there.
I might as well not turn up, sure. and then just to say, I think he might be as good as sprinters I've had, and we were like, oh, okay. and then we leave it alone, and he goes and wins it 5-1, and wins impressively as well.
Yeah.
Note to self. Look, with sprinting, there can be a little bit of the old. The sprinters tend to race at numerous different tracks for the big competitions, your Fair Warriors, your Bar One Sprint Cups, and whatever else. Right, they tend to move around a bit, and you can get a little bit of the, you know, just adapting back to the different traps and whatever. Sometimes they're specialists; they can break regardless. But I've always found sprinting quite tricky for that reason alone. So I didn't have a great opinion on the race, but Skippy knew anyway. That's all we know. Skippy knew.
Yeah, Skippy knew. I'm looking forward to seeing himself, Corbrack Prince, and Two Amigos meeting again in the future. Throw in El Supremo and a couple of others, and you know we've got a nice little sprinting group there. There's plenty to look forward to in the sprinting game in 2020. Moving on to the 10th race of the night, there's plenty to talk about here. Deadly Destroyer. You know, if I told you Tommy Deadly Destroyer was going to ping out, lead on the opening corner, how far was he going to win?
Yeah, this was a terrific race, and like you were very sweet in Park Lake, and I kind of rubbished it a little bit, which is unfair. But I just felt the Park Lake might need a little bit of a break, a couple of weeks, and had it been a couple of weeks down the line, I might have fancied Park Lake. He ran a monster race, but this is also an important race with Cara Ramsbottom, who's a trainer who's emerging to become a trainer who is going to be competing in derbies and the likes. And I know Deadly Destroyer ran and whatever else, but like, you know, it's almost like a step to the next level for him. You know, 2 winners on the night was fantastic. This dog has been handled superbly. He's been impressive for a few weeks in a row, and this was another big run. He needed to do everything right because Park Lake showed massive pace to the bend, and Deadly Destroyer, in fairness to him, just held his line well to just prevent Park Lake getting a run. And then he had to be strong again. It was like when you think you have the Ledger winner back in 3rd and not really competitive in a way, and you got Deadly Destroyer and Park Lake clear. I think that was a serious performance from the winner, and I came away amazed at the performance of Park Lake, not because we never thought the ability was there. We raved about him during the Ledger. But just that he was able to do it again after 5 grueling weeks in Limerick, like, you know, where he missed a kick twice and had to work even harder than usual to try get a position. It didn't work out from the semi-final. He qualified the final. He just, it took its toll. I felt looking at him that maybe he was tired and whatever else, but I came away from that race the other night thinking that was a superb race, huge run by Deadly Destroyer and by Park Lake.
Yeah, Declan, Deadly Destroyer is a really, really talented greyhound. He did everything right. Carl Ramsbottom had him, you know, perfect on the night, away and gone. This was the race where I think I said at the third bend, he'll go again. And he did. You know, we went from a half length to a length on the winning line. But Park Lake ran the most incredible race. He's 3 parts of a length down into the opening corner on the inside, decides to check. He's very little experience at Shelbourne Park. If he'd been a further half length or quarter of a length up, he may have force his way through. He's 4 lengths down in a matter of strides. He's right on the leader at the third bend. And then obviously he's not going to be outstaying Deadly Destroyer, but it was just a remarkable win for Deadly Destroyer, but an even more remarkable run in second by Park Lake.
Yeah, it was a great run by both of them. 4 of them were coming from Limerick, where Deadly Destroyer was racing in Shelbourne every Saturday. So he had that edge. He was always like to lead, you know what I mean? Park Lake, I hadn't seen. I'd seen him on the video from Limerick. Obviously, it's his first time in Shelbourne. Didn't look well drawn to me in one, to be honest with you. As the race was run, ran an absolute blinder. But Deadly Destroyer, I actually don't know Carl Ramsbottom, but I know, I respect these dogs. I watched them long enough. They're superb and they're well done. He's a very good dog. Great to see Gary Hannon getting top class dogs. They deserve big prizes. They got one here, fully deserved. Park Lake, very exciting. One to look forward to, definitely. Dearjet Sydney wasn't drawn to good advantage and was coming straight from Limerick as well, as was Romeo and Magical, who actually run Shelbourne well most times. Catch Me Flying, it just didn't happen for him. You know, it just didn't happen on the night. But no question, first and second were superb. They are 2 of the dogs that you take out at night going forward. First and second there. You
made a good point there, Gary Hannon. You know, whatever about buying dogs and having plenty of top class dogs, the money he's put into sponsorship as well, certainly around Kilkenny and the places, you know, he deserved one like this. And he's had some very fast greyhounds over the last year or two, don't get me wrong, but this Deadly Destroyer is right up there. He can challenge for all major honours. That's the beauty of it. And Dearjet Sydney had touched upon there. Tommy, you had hinted maybe it might be his last race prior to the race. I don't think that was the plan, but it is his last race. He ran a remarkable race to actually get third down the back straight and then faded home, seemed to lose his action off the last bend. Chipped a stopper bone. It will be his last ever race. Dearjet Sydney, 2020 English Derby winner. I'm about to ring Pat Buckley, get a few quotes, and that story will be up. By the time you're watching this, you should be reading the story. If not, you'll be reading it first thing in the morning. But Dearjet Sydney's run his final race. Just a second or two, just on him, Tommy. He's been a remarkable performer. He leaves quite a legacy. You know, he had an unbelievable racing career, and he's just one of those dogs where, be it his colouring, his style of racing, his determination to win, just been one of those dogs that's hugely popular, and I've no doubt he'll throw good ones.
Yeah, I must have just heard about it being his last race. That could have been something else. But he's just been a fabulous dog. It is a shame that it was his last race. But he finished his career as he ran his entire career. He was in superb form. He ran a huge race in the final of the Ledger, beating 3 parts of length. If you can go through a relatively long career that he's had and win an English Derby, go to numerous classic finals and go and effectively finish off. Let's forget about Saturday night, even though he ran well to a point, to effectively finish off by finishing runner up in a classic. I don't think you owe anybody anything. He's been absolutely superb, top to bottom. He really has. He's been a terrific dog. I know. For the purpose, I know Connection felt that maybe I was a bit harsh on him during the Ledger, but all I'm trying to do here, I haven't much purpose on this. If I'm not going to tell him what I think in terms of individual races as I look at them, you know, and I'm trying to read them out in terms of trying to point people in the right direction of heats. But he has never ever let anybody down at any stage of his career. He's just been an absolute star and a joy to watch. And of course, there's been a connection with Eddie Dingan, who I've greyhounded training with, who had Maggie's Wish and Reardon. He's been a joy to watch for the last couple of years, I have to say, and a credit to Pat Buckley, the way he's been able to maintain him, to keep the dog at that top level, right at the top level, all the way through his career.
Declan, no matter who you are in greyhound racing, it seems at some point Dearjet Sydney would have done you a turn.
Absolutely, and the lovely part is he won the English Derby for Pat Buckley. I mean, he'd gone so close so often, and there finally comes a night and a dog when it happens. You know what I mean? And we're just talking a few minutes ago about Carl Ramsbottom and Gary Hannon. it's only a matter of time before they win a huge race. Don't have any doubt about it. That is going to happen. Dear Sydney was brilliant. Did like the inside, but didn't have to have it tracked very well. I thought quite a clever tracker. Brilliant when he led, but he didn't have to lead. A very, very good dog. Ran a cracker in the Ledger, as you said, and he's by Droopy Sydney, so he'll be in demand. That's no question.
Yeah, only a handful of times out of the frame, and as you say, as a son of Droopy Sydney, there will be a massive gap left by Droopy Sydney in the near future, and Dearjet Sydney is right there, poised to take over. Yeah,
and any sport is consistency. Litmus test is consistency, and my goodness, he was certainly that.
His card here now, I assuming that's taking in all the English races, 40, 18, 10 and 6. So out of the frame only 6 times, which is pretty remarkable when you consider he started his career in the Juvenile Classic, which means I'd say he's never run a race outside AAO company.
Yeah, that's it. And he's kept his place there, and he belongs there at the very, very highest level. Yeah, superb dog. And sadly his career is over. He would another maybe half season. I mean, you would have thought nobody was injured, he's injured, and that's it.
Yeah, no. Dearjet Sydney owes nothing to anybody. He's just an unbelievable greyhound. Moving on. We have 4 races to touch upon, and normally you go, and the other 4 races. It just so happens that these 4 races were won in unbelievable fashion. We'll speak of Karen Tuchel very quickly. A dog with massive pace down the back straight, Tommy. Carl Ramsbottom, I was actually talking to before racing and after racing. He says, well, what do you think of the first? I said, well, if they could start the race at the second bend, I'd fancy in the first race. He's a dog that probably lacks a yard early, but he is remarkably fast down the back straight. Lenson Johnny Boy checked up at that third bend. He just didn't seem to run his bends that great the other night. Karen Tuchel took full advantage, slipped through on the inside of the third bend, went on to win. A nice winner.
Yeah, I don't know what to make of Lenson Johnny Boy, because he went from absolutely blowing the lids down. He flew out, and all of a sudden he went from 3 lengths ahead to a length ahead on the first bend. And Karen Tuchel just picked him up quite strongly. It was a nice performance. As I said to you, it was. I read it as much about the trainer as the greyhound, to be quite honest about it. So nice to see Carol in the ascendancy, and it was a good performance in fairness. But Lenson Johnny Boy, just don't know what to make of him.
Yeah, he's a nice dog, Declan Karen Tuchel. He has loads of pace. If you can just find that yard over the winter to the opening corner, he could be a nice, could be a real sort of talented greyhound next year.
Oh, absolutely, and 550 is a classic distance, and that's surely made for him. Very good dog, getting better. He's still only novice. That's only his 9th to 10th race, was it?
Yeah,
very good. Absolutely, yeah.
Very nice dog. Moving on to the 11th race in the card, the Retired Greyhound Trust Open 525. Tommy, we were speaking of Night Tornado tonight in the preview, and made us. Well, I'm not saying we didn't say anything bad about the dog. We just said probably didn't quite hit the heights we expected at this time last year. Remember, he was disputing favourites in Juvenile Derby final. He'd posted 27.88 around Shelbourne Park, and while it didn't quite happen this year, he had shown brief sort of displays of some of his brilliance in recent months. The other night was just him at his very best. He came through the bars 203, which very, very few greyhounds do at the moment. And once doing that, it was a case of the rest were playing for places. Just a facile display by Night Tornado. Just ran out a very comfortable winner by 5 lengths in 28.09. Unbelievable run.
It was a terrific run, and he had shown, some spark even in the laurels. The signs that there were, and maybe that's what he is, a dog nowadays that'll produce big performances rather than consistent performances through a competition. But in fairness to Graham Holland, he was interviewed on RPG TV, and he said that that he thought that maybe the 3 dog was out when he'd been interviewed, and that would make a huge difference. Now, possibly it didn't, because he was just so far superior in the race itself. But having the loose box beside him, an empty box beside him, maybe it helped a bit. But I just like the performance. There's absolutely no way of crabbing the performance at all. It was just perfect trap to line.
Flawless, Declan.
I actually have to give for the sporting press, you have to pick a performance of the weekend, and that's the one I picked, to be honest with you. As you said, 203. He beat. If you told me any dog was going to beat Epic News 5 lengths in Shelbourne Park at the moment, I'd say it just won't happen. Because Epic News has been absolutely singing the sweetest of tunes recently, hasn't he? He is the most improved dog in racing. I know he's a little brother of Billy Seaver, but he has just come on and on and on. The one night in the last 2 months he ran badly. I think he was down 2 pounds. He clearly wasn't right. Back the following week, and I think he was second, third that night anyway. But he's back the following week. So to beat him 5 lengths was a hell of an achievement. And 28.09 really is superb. He'd been threatening a run like that. I agree with Tommy. He was improved lately. He was running that bit better and better and better. But I didn't quite see this coming. Brilliant, absolutely brilliant.
After strides, the 3-1 on offer looked fairly big. You're talking about performance of the weekend, Declan. Benamidina Roxy had to be in the equation. You know, we had two 550s on the night prior to this. One in 29.64 by Deadly Destroyer, and we had Billy's Diva winning in 29. Was it 61? She won in 29.61. Benamidina Roxy, who Kevin Loughnane has been telling me for quite some time, he thinks this is an aeroplane. It hadn't quite happened for her. She'd shown plenty of glimpses of it, and she had some fast times in her card. He recently put her sprinting. She had won a couple of sprints in Clonmel. She had a 17.93 there in Thurles, 28.50 trial in Shelbourne Park. So he was trying, it was clear what he was doing. He was trying to sharpen her up. Well, it worked, Declan, because this was absolutely foot perfect from Benamidina Roxy. Made every inch of the running, 29.40, easy as you like.
It was a stunning performance. It was absolutely, you didn't have to look at the clock, but I believe it was 340 sectional. Now that is Derby class. There's no doubt about it. It is, and to finish at 29.40, that'll win most Derby finals. It was a stunning performance, you know, and it was all over. A few strides, she was just away and gone. I can see why she's sprinting because of the pace she has, but really, this trip looked ideal for her. And mentioned the runner-up, Crafty Bonanza, because to feature in a race that's won in 29.40, you know what I mean, and to give that 29.40 dog such a lead, and to finish within 3 lengths, not to be blown away by it, was very, very good. Yeah, it was a great performance. Droopy Sputnik was third, probably better off drawn in the middle actually. I felt recently Trap 1 didn't suit Droopy Sputnik at all. Even when he got to Bendis and trying to, you know, I thought he was better drawn here, but it was a one-horse race right from the start, you know.
Tommy, Benamidina Roxy, away and gone. She's going to be aimed at the Christmas Oaks now, and if she continues this sort of form, she'll be a big player.
I think if I remember rightly, I kind of half fancied her to qualify for the final of the Kirby, but she missed the kick completely.
That's how long ago it was. Yeah, she had run so well at that stage. I think she started in the stake in Newbridge, the bitch unraced stake down in Newbridge. Yeah, like I thought she had begun to progress through the Kirby and starting to shown immense ability, but she has a bit of a problem in that she's quite inconsistent at traps. Even the night of the Laurels final, she ran in the bitch race and she flew home, which you wouldn't be expecting her to do on what we've seen previously, I thought. And then the other night, as you say, beautifully handled, because to sharpen her up and to get her to come out and do the 340 section and do everything right. I mean, it was, I think she's 7-1, and it was probably difficult enough to pick or to find. And if you did, fair play to her, if you or I hope Connection got a few quid out of it. But like, it was hard to find. But I tell you what, there was nothing wrong with it. It's huge performance. If she could find that little bit of consistency, and I think if you look back at her form, maybe in the last 6 or 8 races, there's a little bit more of it there. Yes, there is the odd missed break, but there's a bit more of it there, and there's potential for what might be in the future. As you said, maybe the Christmas Oaks, that'll be a nice test for back over 5.25 against bitches with serious early pace. Yeah, no question about it. Benamidina Roxy, she's certainly one to keep an eye on. Declan spoke of Crafty Bonanza there for Martin Lanny. Always been a good starter and a stout stayer. I think he'll stay further than the 550 yards. No surprise to see him running a big race in second, especially when he gets left alone in second. His problem is he often comes away well, gets caught into the bend, finds a bit of bother, and then runs on again. On this occasion, he was always second, more than capable of a big run, and he produced it, a fine run in defeat. But Benamidina Roxy, no question, the one to take out of the race, and perhaps one of the ones to take out of the entire night. And we finish off proceedings with probably one of the more muddling races of the entire evening, Declan. Roxholm Duke inexplicably moved inwards. I've never seen him do it from before. He's normally a wide seat. He moved in on Mallows Marley and Sawdust Hondo. Got tight to the outside. Leinster Leo, who's a regular at Shelbourne Park and a regular winner at Shelbourne Park for Jeff Bateman, looked like he was going to make every inch of the running once get to the front. But Galvarino, who's so unbelievably powerful, we've seen it plenty of times in the past, got up in the closing yards. It was a great finish, but it was a muddling start to the contest.
I was looking forward to Leinster Leo winning because the social media reaction would have been fantastic. And that's lovely. That social media is huge, and it's a part of the game, and it's wonderful. Take nothing from the winner. I mean, to come from last to first, and he was last to first bend, to come from last to first, to win on a night like that, take some doing. As you say, there was shoving and shunting and everything going on. Very easy for a dog. We saw a few of them on the night just give up. He didn't. He stuck at it and he came through and he won it right on the line. Rox Home Duke moved in. I know some of these dogs, the first night they ran with a big crowd. You know what I mean? What we've had with the COVID and everything. So that probably might explain some of the performances on the night. It's also the end of a long season, of course, you know what I mean, for a lot of them too. But the winner won it the hard way and you know, credit him for that.
Yeah, Tommy, just a fine display. Johnny Lennon with a winner. Always nice to see one from down your part of the world.
Yeah, Johnny's a great character, a great trainer as well. This is a better performance than maybe we were reading it. It obviously Frank's the form too from Laurel's final night when he finished second, maybe a little bit unlucky behind Jacob Taschen-Zelecker, certainly unlucky not to give him a harder race. Like he broke well. The two dog came across, forced him to check. He was wide going into the first bend, trying to find a space to run. Got a bit of a bump. Went down to the third bend, checked inside or moved inside to make his run. They was then forced to take a wide course around the leader. I mean, he literally was bobbing and weaving the whole way. Like clearly he's capable of a lot better than 29.90. There's absolutely no doubt about that. Looking at the clock, maybe actually the track got a bit quicker as the night went on, which would be contrary to everything we would believe in on a winter's night. But like he's definitely better than 29.90 in the clock. I was delighted to see it because I think he's a seriously talented dog. But you know, his lack of early pace is always going to kind of force him to do things like this. But it was nice, a nice way from us down south to be able to wrap up the meeting.
Yeah, indeed. Great. It was a great meeting. 13 races and all we've touched on. We've touched on a few from Friday night. If we didn't get to you, I'm so sorry. There's only so much we can cram into this hour. We've already gone over the hour. It's a long one, but it was just an epic weekend of racing action. Declan, I think you've already sort of nailed your colours to the mast, but if you're gonna give your performance of the weekend to Night Tornado, am I right in saying?
Well, there's so many, you know, and I did. I mean, 2:03, 28:09, and to beat Epic News, 5 lengths. Yeah, superb.
Tommy,
like you could have seen on Sally all about Ted. You could have Ballymac area, but I give it to All for the Best. I think that was a stunning performance.
Yeah, I had a feeling you were going to give it to All for the Best. I like you. I think there was any amount of ones you could give it a performance of the night to. A couple in defeat, you could nearly have given it to also. But do you know what? For Skippy's pure belligerence and the fact that he was giving me a bit of stick, and no doubt he hasn't seen me since. I'll get a bit of stick next time I see him. I'm going to have to say off the pitch, because in terms of producing your very best when you needed to and doing everything right and beating the best counterparts around, he did it, and he did it in some style. 18:43. You know, not too many dogs go that quick around Shelbourne Park, but again, you could have given it to so many greyhounds. And there was a couple on the Friday night as well. Derby's Delight, you know, one or two of the supporting races as well. But no, on Saturday night, off the pitch, you know, very rare you see me giving the sprinters performance of the night or anything like it. I want to see more stayers, not sprinters. But no, brilliant performance. A great weekend. Lads, what are we going to do for the next few weeks? You know, it won't be long. We're getting into the serious action. We'll have the unraced stakes starting up early next year, the Gold Cup. Before we know, it'll be Easter Cup time, Declan, but it's going to be a couple of quiet weeks for us. So time to take stock and enjoy a bit of family time.
Oh, well, it's all good in Shelbourne. There's always something. You know, the Christmas Oaks is coming up now.
Yeah,
you know,
and the Open Marathon. We got the marathon. Yeah.
There's plenty there. Yeah.
I don't get paid double for the marathon, Declan, which I think is a travesty.
Well, yeah, put my name in there as well. But I mean, yeah, no, it's good, but it's a hard act to follow. For sure. But that's it's meant to be. It's meant to be a very special night, and it was a very special night. It is the Night of Stars in all but name, and that's lovely. And that goes on as that, you know. And brilliant, just superb now. Yeah.
Tommy, in your guise as a horse racing journalist, you'll be pretty busy over the coming weeks, but I'm sure you'll miss the top class racing action. We'll have a bit at Shelbourne Park, and I'm sure, and it'll all be starting up again in the new year, but it's nice to take a little bit of a break.
Yeah, we'll have the Kingdom Derby as well, Tralee, coming up as well. So which
will be live on Racing Post Television, of course, the final.
Yeah. So there is good racing ahead, Ian, but like people will be thankful to get a bit of a break from you and I for a couple of weeks anyway.
Oh, well, I'll be doing a little bit, just a little bit.
Well, they'll definitely be glad to get a break from looking at me anyway.
I think I'll be glad. Anyway, that's it, folks. It's been an unbelievable Winter Racing Festival, the second annual Winter Racing Festival. It was Night of Stars for 8 years, but now the Winter Racing Festival is here, and hopefully here to stay, because what we witnessed over the last weekend was pretty sensational. Bring it on. More the same 2020. For the moment, that's it from us. Of course, plenty of top class racing coming up at Shelbourne Park and around the country, including the Kingdom Derby down at Tralee. But for the moment, that's it. We'll see you next time.